Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Katie and we are here today for Love Bites. So if you don't know who I am, like I said, my name is Katie. I'm a holistic health and life coach, and every single week I jump on here live, same time, to talk about something that will change your life in some way. So we call it Love Bites because the whole idea is that these are small bite-sized talks, and it's some way to show yourself a little more love. Now, this can be anything from, we talk a lot about body image in this space. We talk a lot about creating your best life in this space. We talk about healthy lifestyle. We talk about self-care. So really, our Love Bites can focus on a whole host of those things. Today, we are talking about taking action when things are not perfect. This is something that affects everybody. Every single person is affected by this. I talk to people all the time, who are so afraid of starting something because things aren't perfect. And this can be a lot of different things, okay? So this could be something like taking a leap and starting a new career or applying for a new job. This could be getting into a new relationship or ending a relationship that's no longer serving you. This could be moving. Whether it's locally, whether it's internationally, it could be moving to a new space. It could be starting coaching. It could be starting therapy. It could be starting dance lessons. It could be being brave to jump on and do a Facebook Live. That's a big hurdle for a lot of people. So all of these things, we're going to talk about taking imperfect action because that's kind of the only way to do it. At the end of the day, that's the only way to do it. There's this idea that we have to wait, and this idea I think is pretty widespread across most of society. We have to wait until things are perfect. Meaning we have to wait until we have exactly enough money. We have to wait until everything just feels easy and there's no fear. We have to wait until everybody is happy and we're not ruffling any feathers. I'm going to tell you what, that's impossible. That does not exist. If that is your criteria for making decisions or living your life, you are going to live a very small life because you're going to ruffle some feathers and you are going to have to get out there. It's just kind of the nature of being alive. It really is. So I really want you to kind of reflect on big things that have happened in history. Now, these could be huge things like Einstein's theory of relativity. This could be something like the first flight, right? For the life of me, I can't remember, but it was the brothers that had the first flight, right? They were in the States. It could be the first time you made dinner for your family, the first time you made a lasagna, or the first time you made a smoothie. None of these things went perfectly. None of them. Everything from these massive, world-changing views, like the discovery of flight, down to how you cook a lasagna. Not one of those things went perfectly. I can pretty much guarantee you that. There were hiccups, there were good things, there were bad things, but you know what? The only way to get there is to take action. You have to, I love calling it messy action. You have to take messy action. If you take no action, if you're paralyzed, then you get nowhere and nothing happens and your life stays the same and you don't get out there and experience things and live, right? You kind of get small. You kind of close yourself off to all of the possibilities and all of the opportunities. And the best time to take action is, in fact, when things are not perfect, when you might not feel totally ready. And that is because if you are passionate about something, if you're excited about something, if you are thinking about it so much that you just can't get it out of your brain, and you really want to do it and you're really scared, that excitement, that is what is going to create success for you. If you want to do it and maybe not, and you hold off until things are perfect, by then there's a really good chance that your passion will have died down. that your excitement for whatever that thing is has died down. And then your energy going into it is a lot more like, nah. And then that's not going to get you the results, create the success that you really, really crave. So if you are feeling like you really want to do something, you really want to try something, you want to take an art class, you want to get on a plane and travel to a new country, you want to do a Facebook Live, you want to start working with a coach, you want to go and find a new job, and you are really excited about that, that's the time to do it. But how the heck do you do it? Taking action can be really scary. Like really, really scary. And it's important to recognize that. We've all been there. I'm human, right? We all feel fear. The thing is that our bodies, whether we are afraid of being laughed at or afraid of making a fool of ourselves, or if we are walking in the wilderness and we come across a grizzly bear and we are getting chased and it wants to eat us, that fear that we feel, all our body knows is that it's fear. It doesn't understand the difference between fear of, something that's actually life-threatening and fear of something that is potentially going to help you bloom and blossom and grow into your best self. So it's really important to feel that fear and then use your logical brain and just look at it and say, like, is this fear justified? If I am afraid of, let's use a Facebook Live because that's what I'm doing and it just makes perfect sense. If you are really afraid of doing a Facebook Live, like you're terrified of it. Why are you afraid? Well, because maybe I'm going to screw up and maybe people will laugh at me. Okay, that is a legitimate thing. Maybe you will screw up. Maybe people will laugh at you. I have done it. Then what? Well, then maybe they'll think that maybe I'm not somebody to look up to, or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so what happens then? Well, nothing, because it's just the opinions of a couple of people and I can keep going, right? So if you just take a step back and you can use your logical brain to get through that, it can completely change everything. So when you are looking at taking steps, when you are looking at starting something that you are maybe don't feel totally ready for, maybe that you're a bit afraid about, break it down into steps. Okay, you can do this on paper if you're like me and you like lists and you like writing things down. You can do this in your head if that's more your thing. You can draw it out, you can make a pretty art thing, but break it down into steps and figure out what the first step you can take that is scary but not terrifying. If you stretch yourself too far into that like terrifying zone, we quite often, it's kind of a natural reaction to like recoil. Think of it as like an elastic band. You can stretch it and stretch it, but if you stretch it too far, it snaps. You don't want to stretch it so far it snaps. You just want to stretch it enough that it kind of goes, oh, okay. That's what you want to do with yourself. Stretch yourself enough that it is a stretch. You will probably feel afraid. You will probably feel uncertain, but you can understand that this is step one and we are going to do step one and you're only going to focus on step one, whatever that may be. And then once you feel happy with that and you've done it and you can kind of go, oh, okay, I've done it. Then what's step two and what's step three? And that's how you can do things. If you just look at something and all you can see is this massive thing and it is so overwhelming and it is so terrifying, and that's all you see, you're probably never even going to dip your toe in the water because it's such an overwhelming, terrifying thing. So let's take the overwhelm out, take a step back, use your logical brain above your emotional brain just for a little bit and really reason it out. And remember, genius comes from this imperfection. Breakthroughs, like seriously life-changing, world-changing breakthroughs, come from messy action. You are probably going to screw up. You are probably going to do things not correctly. Good. That's life. There is no such thing as perfect. And as soon as you kind of embrace the idea that there is no such thing as perfect, and you just do your absolute best, and you stretch yourself just a little bit every day, that's how breakthroughs happen. And if I'm talking to you and you're like, I have no idea how to stretch myself, I have no idea how to break things down into steps, and start working through them a little bit at a time to make sure that I get there. If that is what you're thinking, that is what coaches do. That is a huge part of what I do as a coach, is working with you to figure out your goals and how do we get you there and how do we break it down into steps. Okay, now some people, depending on what you need, depending on your goals, depending on a lot of different factors, some people really need that support. They need accountability to make sure that all those steps happen. Depending on what your goal is, maybe you don't. That's cool. But just remember, if you take no action, you get nowhere. If you take a deep breath and you decide you are going to take action of some kind, that is the only way. That's the only way you are going to live your life. It's the only way you're going to create a big life. It's the only way you are ever going to step into the person that you want to become. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that this really has served you. If you have questions, if you have comments, please, as usual, leave them below. I am always happy to chat with you. I'm always happy to have a conversation about this, clarify things if something really doesn't make sense. And that's it for me today. So I will see you all right here, same time next week. Have a great one.